Okay. Okay, today is December 2nd. And pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the Open Meetings Law and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Southborough Taxation Aid Committee will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and or parties with a right or requirement to attend can be found on the Town of Southborough's website, southboroughtown.com. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to watch or participate in the meeting may do so in the following manner by finding the meeting at southboroughtown.com/remote meeting. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on Southborough's website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. Okay. Welcome. So we need to approve the last visit. So I know we got a little delayed, but our last visit was October 21st, the minutes, which I believe Brian sent around.
I'm okay with them. I don't know if anyone else is.
I'll second.
Okay. Hal, Marianne, guys have anything?
Nope, I'm fine.
Okay.
Aye.
Okay.
Are you okay with them, Liz? We didn't.
I'm
really
okay with them. Sorry, I'm okay with them too.
Just want to make sure we get your eye too.
Hi, Liz. Okay. Minutes approved.
I don't know if, let's see if Nick is here. There is one attendee. It's Sam though. Not
Okay.
Nick. So,
Should we skip over item 2 and jump to conversation with Senior Center?
and let's see if Cindy is here. Is everyone bombing out on us today? Cindy's here. Cindy's here. Good.
Oh, great. Okay.
So, the question is, how do we bring her in?
Ooh. Yeah, this is my weakness here. Does anybody know?
Do you want me to promote the Cindy app?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hold on 1 second. She's coming in.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Cindy? You're on mute though.
There we go.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Good, good. So I don't know if everyone knows you. Cindy
I don't think
Beard,
so.
Liz, Hal, Marianne, and Joe, Jeff. I call you Joe sometimes, Jeff. Cindy Beard works down the Council on Aging, and she's an outreach coordinator, and she works a lot about, with a lot of seniors in town, and, does a lot of coordinating and assisting in some of their needs, and, if they're having issues or whatever, she's there to help. So she's a great resource. And I know the committee just wanted to hear, since we're trying to assist seniors also, I think, and any of you can jump in when you want, but I think we were just curious, like what you're seeing this year in the kind of situations that maybe seniors are in, and especially has it changed? I'm assuming it has, but has it changed since last year? Is it a lot worse? Like, are you seeing a lot more people in distress? Or, if you could maybe just touch on that and from your point of view, what you're seeing?
Well, a lot of seniors are on fixed incomes. So the pandemic hasn't necessarily resulted in a loss of wages as it has for working families. However, there are seniors who augmented their fixed incomes with work. And so in that regard, we're seeing those folks are now financially stressed. I was looking at my notes, and last year I referred 10 people to this program of the taxation aid. I don't know how many people actually it resulted in them getting aid through the program, but I could see at least that many people, it being appropriate that I give them the information again this year. I would say at least that many. Does that answer your question?
Sorry, I'm on mute now. Yeah, this Zoom thing, I love it. Yeah, no, I think it does. I think, so, I think what did we end up giving? 7 people last year, 7 applicants?
Yeah,
we had
I don't know.
7. I'm sorry, we should have circled back with you. We had 7 applicants and we granted to all 7. So I don't know which came through. I think that you and Pam had a huge impact on helping us. The month for applications is February. So it's hard to believe that it's December, but I suppose we could start starting to promote it anytime, really, actually, I guess. I've lost sense of time, but yeah.
So that's one of the things I was wondering is what, in addition to my outreach, what are the other ways that this program is promoted? Well,
some of them are going to be very COVID friendly, like the library last year. So that's, well, I don't know, Brian, maybe you want to talk about the new kind of relationship that we have with, we've gotten some visibility for it recently because we applied for a grant through the Foundation for Metro West Southborough Community Fund. And they ultimately steered us in the direction of it's got not a easy to remember name, but that Commission of the Trust for Southborough.
Right. Board of Commissioners of Trust Funds is the official name, but.
So what it did was now they're going to help with the funding for this because we are anticipating more people too. But what that ended up happening was it just sort of raised our visibility because the 14 board members on Southborough Community Fund weren't familiar with this. So now I hope maybe the word of mouth or just the fact that we're starting to network with other groups in town that are also helping seniors might help. But yeah, last year was kind of grassroots.
Yeah. So what I did was I reached out to the seniors that I knew had been eligible for fuel assistance. And so that was kind of the basis for that, or I knew that they were struggling in paying their property tax. But it was generally the fuel assistance list. And that doesn't mean that there's not other people out there that are struggling that I might not know, because a lot of people might not tell me. So I didn't know if it was something that you wanted to really put out there, like in the newsletter, or if it's something that you want to kind of keep, I don't know, more grassroots. That's a nice way to say it.
I'll let someone else speak. I don't think we want to keep it grassroots. We did a mailing in the most recent tax insert too.
Right.
Oh.
I was going to say, we put the application in with the assessor's tax and also those applications for seniors to utilize for other grant money relief that they would get off their tax bill.
Terrific. So
Cindy, I was actually going to ask you about the newsletter because that it's funny you actually mentioned that. How often does that go out again? Remind me.
It's every other month.
Every
So
other
I
month,
think
okay.
the last one we did was November, December. So the next one would be January, February. But
Is it paper or email?
both. It's available on the
Okay.
website, but it is sent out to every senior home in Southborough and some people in other towns that are members of the Council on Aging. So the timing on that, Peg does the newsletter, or we all contribute, but Peg for the most part publishes it, and it's a good month in advance. So she likes to wrap things up, get it to the printer a good month before it's going to go out.
Cindy, maybe she could do an insert, you know how we do
Yep.
insert, and those aren't tied to the printer. So
Right.
we might be able to get information in an insert in that newsletter. But
Yep.
again, talking with Peg, she would know if that was available, if the insert was available.
Yeah.
We would
Could
just,
it also, I'm sorry, Marion,
no, it's okay.
could it also be controlled to only be sent to Southborough residents? Because you said that it also encompasses other towns, residents of other towns.
Yeah, that would be possible to control who gets the insert, because it's a very hands-on operation, putting the newsletter, getting it in the mail. So that can be done.
Cindy, a question I had, I think it ties into this. How many seniors out there do you think there are who really don't realize there's anything available? I mean, I know, because we get the senior newsletter, of course. You see the oil or the heating fuel assistance, but I'm kind of wondering if there are a lot of people out there who say, "Gee, I don't have any really good idea of what's available." Like today, I got the email from, I believe it's from the Youth and Family Services about rental and mortgage assistance, and Jeff, you have the things from the assessors and things of that nature, and it just seems like it's kind of a hodgepodge of programs, and somehow or other seniors may not even realize some things are available to them.
Right. I would love to see kind of an information sheet on any kind of assistance with tax, because I know there's other things that, people might be eligible for. If you're a veteran, or if, I think there's one category that if you're a senior and under a certain income, I mean, I don't even know them all down pat. It would be great to do a mailing with all of that information, I think.
I know that, I'll just speak for the assessor side. I do know that it started with Cindy McLeod when she was there, and now that Corinne is in there, they do go out and actively contact people to make sure that they are getting these assistance that they're eligible for. So they are active, at least going out there to make sure people apply for these things.
So they how do they determine who to contact about that?
They can, off of the prior year.
I see.
So if somebody filled out information the year before,
Mhm.
and they haven't received anything yet, they will chase them down,
Yeah.
and be active about that. I guess I'd have to check with Paul how that happens with new people who do qualify for those deductions. But I know once they're in the system, as it were,
Yeah.
they do pursue and make sure that people are following up and putting in their applications in time, because for the assessor, it's time sensitive.
Yeah. So Hal, did that answer your question?
To some extent, I guess I'm still thinking, that sort of thinking more of a long-term goal, that somehow the town or we or somebody should try to put together a listing of all the possibilities, so that if someone comes to you, you would know everything out there, and it just becomes more available to people, have a better idea of what kind of assistance might be available.
Right.
Instead of piecemeal. It seems to be very piecemeal right now. And you even said you don't even know all the things available.
I always tell people to call the assessor's office.
Well, that comes back to last month when Pam had asked me about a little booklet that was put together. And Paul Sabelli did send me a guide to property tax health for Southborough senior citizens. And it was December 2007. So that's another issue that I think we need to talk about today, about maybe updating that. And I think that would answer both of your questions, how that would answer where all these things come together. Because in this little booklet, it has them all listed. And Cindy, you would have this booklet to be able to refer to. So I think this is kind of a start, but we have to do a lot of updating through the assessor's office. I think that this is where it came from, Paul Sabelli's office.
Yeah.
So that's, I don't know if that's helpful or not, but I think that's part of all this issue.
Yeah.
I think, Brian and Jeff, didn't we make some kind of a comprehensive flyer a couple years ago?
Yeah, we had a flyer, and it had some of the pieces. I don't know if it had all of them, but we did have a flyer. I have that somewhere, actually. I can pull that.
The other challenging part of that, sorry, Brian, is the definitive who to contact. Like some stuff is obvious, but other things there's might be overlap, or there might not be total, yes, they're in charge of this program, so contact them. I think there were some areas that were still kind of a gray area, as I recall, but I'm maybe I'm not right on
So
that.
I've personally seen a few variations of this now, and I think what Hal's saying, I think I kind of have a vision of what something might look like with all the town services and even some of, you probably could add like other local assistance items, like, some of the there's state resources too, right? So there's like legal aid. I mean, there's things out there that we could put in like a more comprehensive pamphlet. Just, more than just taxes. I've kind of seen some variations of that over the years, but I haven't really seen like a final one done. And it's funny because Mr. Selectman Stivers is, I think, watching this, and he had sent me a pamphlet too, and it sort of had a lot of pieces on it, like we're talking about. So there's things rolling out there that I think we can put together, or I don't know, we can put together, or we can work in conjunction with other people to put together and come up with a more comprehensive pamphlet. It's almost like it's all out there. It's just putting it together.
Right.
It's
Right.
just weird.
The food pantry and youth and family
Yes.
services.
Right. Food pantry is a great one. Yeah. Yeah.
In the meantime, should we try to get the inserts? Could we just use the insert that we just used for the town? And could we give it to you and see if we could put it in your January, February newsletter mailing? Because it's already created.
Yeah. I would just have to let Pam and Peg know that was going to happen, and they would know the particulars of that.
It's
Yeah.
a small
Yeah,
insert. It's not even a full page.
Yeah.
It's a quarter.
Yeah. It's like a third page, Cindy. So I don't know if that's easier or harder, but
Yeah, I don't know either. I'm trying to imagine how that would work.
I mean, yeah, to Elizabeth's point, we can send it to you, or we can send it to Peg or whoever, or we can send it to all
Probably
three of you. Peg? Okay. We can send it to Peg, and
Okay.
we'll just, I guess we'll bounce it off her, right?
Yeah, that
Okay.
makes sense.
Okay. Sounds good to me. Does anyone have anything further for Cindy, or?
No, but thanks for coming, because you just prompted us to talk about something that we probably would have come up with in February, and now we're talking about it now, which is
Mhm.
getting the word out. So I'm really glad that you came. Thank you.
All right, you're very welcome. And I'm not sure how I'm going to get out. Okay, I see everything down here. So I'm leaving. Okay,
Thank you,
bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
We love Zoom.
Oh, yay. Somebody want to be the, I don't know who Peg is. Does somebody else want to be the pet point person for this?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's Peg Leonard. I'm sure Mary Ann knows her, and maybe Al too, but she's a very nice person at the Council on Aging. I'm happy to send that to her tomorrow if the rest of the members are okay with
Okay.
that.
Hal, you did a lot of work on that. I would think it was I don't have it in front of me, but I would think that was probably would cover all it had criteria, right? And I guess we should just make sure the insert covered that the application period is open and from February 1st to February 20, whatever, so there's a sense of timeline.
Just trying to look it up real quick, just to see.
Okay. Yeah, I might have it in that. Whatever. I'm not sure what everybody's time frames are like for today. Do we want to talk about get into the conversation about the eligibility requirements, or how or more better worded, how we're going to determine how we're going to make our determinations? Do we want to have that conversation today? Do we want to do our regularly scheduled December meeting and do it then? Do you want to do it in January?
So can I just ask, or do we even know? Maybe we don't know, because I can't recall. Did we have do we know we want to change things, or is this just like, we're just going to throw out there maybe ideas or
I think it was just because Mary Ann and Hal weren't here to see, so it's just to engage with them, and if nothing else, to just reiterate what we did or explain what we did and see if they wanted to change anything.
Okay.
Is there something written that you could send out to us for the next meeting? I mean, I think I sat in on a meeting the last time before I got on the committee where I think you were sort of discussing what they were going to be, or you had already thought about it and approved it. So I don't know.
And I want to say, wasn't the residency for that 5 years, wasn't that something we wanted to revisit? I'm not sure, but it just rings a bell, I thought. I can't remember. Or maybe someone mentioned it to me.
I think when I went to the selectmen meeting, did they say 3?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, we can distribute the eligibility requirements around, and any comments we can deal with at the next meeting, I guess. Does that sound good? So we're a little more prepared, I guess, to talk about it.
I mean, basically, you have 3 requirements that you have to be in Southborough at least 5 or more consecutive years. You or your spouse has to be 65 or older, and your income can't exceed 30,000 or 60,000. So, I mean, those are the only 3 requirements, correct?
Or just say, if you're state disabled under 65, you're also eligible.
Okay. Oh, that's right.
Right.
Disability. So beyond that, I mean, I expect they show proof of their tax, that's a copy that they have to send. But beyond that, there's no other requirements. So let's say you get 10 applicants, and I think the question was how you determine how much money. I guess that's the bottom line. So when we come to that point, especially seeing how we're working with this other committee now, this trust committee, how are we going to then say, oh, we should give 10 people $1,000 this year because the trust committee said they have $10,000, which would be great, and then we're not touching our funds, or they're they're giving half or whatever. We decided. So I guess it's how do we determine how much money we want to give every year? And there's a couple of things. Probably one, the number of people that apply, and number two, how much we feel we can afford to deplete the fund by. So that's the question. And how much, how many, like, are we getting donations in? So do we see that increasing? So are we level funding, I guess? Are we keeping it at the same level? So those are the questions that I would kind of ask.
And I think the last go around, you said there were 7 applicants, I believe it. I think that the decision was that you're just going to give an equal amount to everyone, and not look at any specifics of any particular individual person or case in this instance. And I sort of got the sense that was something we wanted to think about for this coming year, that there may be various, I mean, if you all of a sudden got 100 people who applied, do we give everybody, we take the pot, whatever it's going to be, and say, okay, we're going to give out $5,000 divided by 100 people, or are we going to say, let's look at the seriousness of each case and how, how much, I'm not quite sure the right word here, but I think that there are variations in how much people need the assistance.
Yeah, I mean, just judging on what we get through the assessor's office, we don't get numbers like that, Hal, but I understand your point that if we're all of a sudden bombarded, then it really puts us in a tough spot with distribution. I think I recall kind of last year talking about this, like we kind of have to take this year by year for a little while until we start to understand a pattern and see what numbers look like. And because in a town like this, they start to get predictable after, only a few years as far as what that happens. But you have to be prepared, like you say, Alan, unless we get 100 applicants this year, it would really put us in a tough spot right away.
Yeah, I got the feeling from Nick that they were like, they also are committed to helping us, but that instead of putting forward a number and saying like, well, we'll do 5,000, they wanted us to first come to them and say, here's what we've got. So maybe that should be our first step, is like after we first week of March, we review all the applications. We made like a spreadsheet last year to compare them all. Then we could start talking about it, and we could go to them and say, here's some ideas, like what did you have in mind? So I don't have any idea what kind of funds they were talking about.
Well, I guess one thing, Brian, I guess you could give us the number on how much came in this year as far as donations to our fund. Is that possible?
Total donations to the senior fund, to our fund?
To our fund, yeah.
Yeah, it was clearly, definitely, it had to be no more than, I know it was no more than $1,000. It was probably between $500 and $1,000, which isn't a whole lot.
No, that's okay. That's what I'm thinking. So bottom line is, if we start giving out even $750 for 7 people, that kind of depletes a lot out of our fund. So that's why I think we show that the need to this trustees fund, that it's more of a need that we have. And I don't know if you look into the actual tax that the people owe, or what their real estate taxes are.
We actually brought that up, but we didn't really codify it. I think we did actually talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
One of the things we talked about, which we didn't do, was, I know Brian and I talked about one time when I stopped by to look at the folders, was like, which we abandoned this idea, but do we do like a relationship? So if your taxes are $10,000 and your income is $20,000, right? But we ultimately didn't go that route.
Yeah, I mean, that gets a little more complicated, because you'd have to do all kinds of formulas to say on a sliding scale type of thing. So sometimes it's just easier to just give the exact amount. And
You can ask for a copy of the tax return. I mean, that's what the assessor is doing, and
Right.
you can see what income is coming in
correct.
to create, that kind of behind the scenes, level for people,
Hmm.
because it is on a need basis, and if somebody's has a lot on their tax return, then their needs are far less than somebody who is on the other end of that spectrum.
Right.
And people filing for assistance like that's not an odd request to make a copy of a tax return at all. I mean, that's standard practice.
Well, I think that is part of this application.
Right. It is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we'd be able to
I
see
think Brian even maybe called did you call one or two people to ask some clarifications or additional?
Yes.
So I think we can, it's a good starting point, and
maybe if you added that to the sheet, and even if we're not going to use it right now, maybe we can track something like that to see if this is somebody's income, this is how much taxes they pay, and then we can just kind of watch that over a year or so to see if we want to go in that direction.
And we do have that data from last year. So
yeah, Brian, I guess we could take all the names and addresses out of the spreadsheet and just put numbers,
Okay.
and we could share it with the group. It would not be sensitive information. It would just be
redacted,
nothing identifying. Yeah.
Sure.
We could just so that you could see what kind of information we got last year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have that. That's pretty. I can do that because I think we have it, so it's easy.
You have it already, I think.
Brian, if I understand you correctly, our little insert didn't do much in comparison to past years. Is that right? I mean, the donations didn't go up much, or?
No, it didn't have a whole lot of effect, which was kind of disappointing, but that doesn't mean we can't keep trying,
Yeah. Well, and to members, hell, I didn't get it. So a lot of people didn't get it if they pay their tax through their mortgage, right? Was that what we decided?
Okay. If it goes through the bank, if you pay your tax through the mortgage, your bank gets the bill directly. Is that?
Oh no, you know what it was, Liz?
What was it?
It was because I think it was because you get your water bill and tax bill at the same time, right? And it was those ones that didn't get. And so
okay.
Oh crap, it's kind of too late now. We should probably do that again at some point, just to get it. It didn't cost a lot of money either. It was only less than $100, I think. So it wasn't a lot of money.
Yeah, and remember there are some changes you need to do. Well, actually, on the actual back of that, your tax bill, remember?
Right.
It had a different name. So, and then also saying that you can send a check at any time during the year and just make it up. I believe you said to the town of Southborough, or do something that similar that, or tell people how they can do it without putting it with their tax bill.
Yeah, we were going to edit that for the next,
Right.
which actually is the next few weeks. So yeah, that's good.
Tax bills, does everyone get a tax bill? I'm trying to remember what happened when we had a mortgage, okay? Because the bank paid the taxes, so I'm kind of wondering, did the tax bill go directly to the bank, or does it go to the homeowner who was required to forward it on to the bank?
Right, it has to go to the homeowner of record.
They have to have a record of what their tax bill is.
Okay, so everybody gets a bill.
Yeah, the mortgage company gets they have these national mortgage services, tax services that, believe it or not, they're these big, huge companies that actually do all the mortgages, and they get electronic files from all the cities and towns across the country, and that's how they kind of compile it and pay them. But the actual paper bill goes to the homeowner.
They annually will alter your bill, your mortgage payment. So if your tax, happens to jump up and they've been under collecting throughout the year, suddenly your mortgage will go up.
Right.
But most of these-
That you have an escrow account for all that. That's basically what it is.
But most people, I would assume in town that most people probably wouldn't have much of an incentive to make a donation because it's the bank that's going to be paying the taxes. And so this would require writing an extra check.
Right. It's not an easy nut to crack, that's for sure.
So Brian, you'll have to.
No, I'm really curious to see, oh, sorry.
Oh, it's okay. Don't worry.
I'm curious to see how much money we get from this commissioner of the trust thing, because it might be more than we could ever dream of getting from soliciting donations. Like, it sounds like it could be meaningful.
Yeah, I'm sorry, he's a pretty busy guy, but he must have either forgot or he could have probably had a meeting. So I will get back with him because actually I have a meeting with him tomorrow morning. So
Okay.
I'll we'll reschedule him, I assume, for the next meeting and try again. And because I think that's an important conversation to have. So
Sure.
we're really gonna have that.
Okay.
If we get these applications in and then we kind of determine the need, I don't think he has to tell us ahead of time. Do you think he has to give us a number ahead of time? Or can we get, if we get a number of applicants in, then we can show the need.
I agree with you, Marianne. I agree with that.
And that might be better. So then we're not, putting ourselves in a corner by saying, oh, we only need, $5,000 when we could really use 10.
Sure.
Right. I wouldn't give a number. Right. I agree with my personal opinion. I agree with it.
Okay.
So do you want me, what do you think if I talk to him and we could meet and maybe have an agenda with just him? Like our next agenda could be maybe just him, and it could be sooner than our next scheduled meeting, like maybe in the next, I know Christmas is 3 weeks away, but if there's any way we can do it sooner than our next meeting, or like our next regular meeting. What do you
What
guys?
is it that what do we want? I'm sorry, I'm lost. What do we want to talk to you about?
To Nick?
Yeah.
Well, I don't think we've really defined what our partnership with him is going to be, like
Okay.
how we're gonna, like if we see people, because essentially they're gonna subsidize, I think, I don't know a good word for it, but they're gonna like subsidize some of our applicants, we think. So we just haven't really figured out how that's gonna work yet. So
I see. Okay. I see what you mean. Yeah, I can make time to do a quick meeting sometime next week or the week after, because yeah, I can do that if you guys can do that. Sure.
I mean, the week of the 14th would be ideal for me too. So maybe sometime
Okay.
during that week, I can ask his availability. I guess that starts there.
Can we do this like anytime? Can we have a Zoom meeting anytime we want of the day?
As long as it's reasonable, yeah.
I mean, like we could do it in the morning or lunchtime break or something. Okay.
3 a.m. if you feel the need.
Sure.
Yeah, no, I don't ever see that hour. I was just curious, like, so if maybe we could jam it in before the workday or something, or 8 to 8:30 or something in the morning. Okay.
Yeah, Jeff,
I participated in their meeting. They were meeting. I watched their last meeting, or one of them recently. They meet at 8 in the morning.
yeah, we're meeting at 8 tomorrow morning too. But Jeff, how's your
so maybe-
schedule in the morning?
What?
I'm sorry, Jeff, how's your schedule like in the morning? Are you really like, you're out the door at like 7 and gone, or?
No, I'm flexible. I don't set my appointments up till about 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. So I'm good for a morning meeting if that's the need.
Okay, I'm just curious. Okay.
Yep. I'm flexible. I can work that around that, Brian, as if I know the meeting time. Thursday morning at that time though is not, I can't do, I have another commitment Thursday morning, but otherwise I'm good every other morning.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
So for our next meeting, just setting the agenda for which would be the third Wednesday in January. Am I right on that? That would be,
The 20th.
okay, Wednesday the 20th at 4:30. So for that meeting, what should we prioritize for that meeting? That's like right before the month of applications. So is there anything we think is like pressing to do in that meeting?
Well, it'd probably be a good time to talk about the criteria that Marianne had brought up,
Okay,
just to kind of sharpen that,
Yeah.
so we know going into all these applications,
maybe we could just sort of set some, and set like the protocol for how we're going to deal with the applications, because obviously we're not going to all stop by the townhouse and look at the files like last year. So
Yeah,
maybe we'll talk about how we're going to do
that's a
that.
good
And then, Brian,
question.
do we do it? Like, do we do an executive session to talk about that stuff? How do we do that?
We did, yes, yes.
Okay. So, all right, that sounds like a good agenda for next time. So in the meantime, Brian's going to follow up with Nick and get something scheduled soon. That sounds really good. And then someone's going to share the insert with
Peg,
Peg Leonard.
I can do that.
And, okay.
And I'm gonna send the redacted information from last year to especially Hal and Mary Ann, since they didn't see it. Jeff, do you want that, or are you good? Did you?
I'm sorry, so what exactly is the information? It's the
spreadsheet that shows it shows their income, their amount of the taxes. I can't remember what else, if they had a mortgage. There was like a few columns.
How long they've been in town. It was all basically all the stuff we used to.
I think I did see that. I think I recall seeing something like that last year.
Yeah. Do
Did
you
you
want me
have
to send it? You want me to send it to you too, or?
Sure, you may as well if it's.
Okay, I'll just
Yeah.
include
Yeah,
everyone.
sure.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
And then, Mary Ann, do you think that we should push the discussion of the PAM split or whatever it's going to be off until like March, April? Because after this cycle.
Sure.
Okay.
But I do think that's important because it was brought up to me by Pam LaFrancois, who is the director at the Senior Center. And I think it would be very helpful, to the seniors in town. And then as Hal and I guess, Brian, you were saying we can add additional legal aids and things like that. So we can bring in, youth and family services. We can bring in the Senior Center, a whole bunch, food pantry, that whole group too. So that would be good.
I did speak with Pam briefly about it, and she remembered it. It was a long time ago, of course. We're talking, 13 years ago?
Yeah,
and
2007.
Yeah, and I'm not sure why it fell off the radar after that, but, she did kind of have some interest in revisiting it, so.
Are there any copy, Mary Ann, you have a copy. Are there any other copies around so we can see what was done?
Well, you know what? Paul Sabelli sent it to me. So am I allowed to forward that to people, Brian, or not?
Sure. Yeah, he showed me a hard copy, but I never had an electronic copy.
Yeah, okay. I'll forward that then to everyone.
Okay.
Thank you.
I hope I still have it. I think I do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay. Well, if there's nothing else for today, then I will adjourn the meeting at 5:15. I will circulate, what's that?
Oh, no, I was just gonna give my vote. Sure, I'm good for that.
Jumping the gun a
Okay,
bit.
good.
Sorry. Supper's
I'll
calling.
circulate, I'll give Brian the minutes from today and he can circulate them and I'll set the agenda for next time. But if anybody else would like to in the future do minutes or agenda, I would welcome that.
But you do such a great job, Liz.
I know, I knew you were going to say that, Jeff. I had a hunch you were going to say that.
But in all fairness, Liz, we should think about that at some point. Not for today, but at some point, we really should.
Distribution.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Okay.